At first, Trump's on a roll. That's the focus of tonight's angle. After months of negotiation, President Trump just signed a landmark minerals deal with Ukraine's President Zelensky. Now, this is going to give the United States access to valuable, really important rare earth minerals. Now, the man just doesn't stop. Now, this comes after last night's Trump bonanza, not only the rally, but Trump smashing the biased press, as only Trump can do. When ABC empathizes with an illegal alien with MS-13 tattoos on his knuckles, this is what happens.
On his knuckles, he had MS-13.
There's a dispute.
But wait a minute. He had MS-13 on his knuckles tattooed.
Oh, he had some tattoos that are interpreted that way. But let's move on.
Wait a minute. Hey, Terry.
That was Photoshopped. So let me
That was Photoshopped. Terry, you can't do that. Hey, they're giving you the big break of a lifetime. You know, you're doing the interview. I picked you because, frankly, I never heard of you, but that's okay. I picked you, Terry, but you're not being very nice.
Pass the popcorn. Trump exposes them at every turn.
We follow the legal process. I can't have a trial, a major trial for every person that came in illegally. We have thousands of murderers that came in. We have to get them out, and we have to get them out fast.
Really bad guys, but in our country, even bad guys get due process, right?
If people come into our country illegally, there's a different standard. These are illegal. They came in illegally.
But they get due process.
Well, they get a process where we have to get them out.
I have a question. Do these reporters do any research?
We had a president that was grossly incompetent. You knew it, I knew it, and everybody knew it, but you guys didn't want to write it because you're fake news.
All right. Thank you.
And by the way, ABC is one of the worst, I have to be honest with you.
Okay. This was thoroughly enjoyable. Okay. The reality show continues. But you can only truly appreciate how hands-on Trump is as president, how forward-thinking he is, when you're reminded of how bad President Biden was. Now, remember Biden's first cabinet meeting? It wasn't until April 1st of 2021. But counting today's for Trump, Trump's already held 3 public cabinet meetings and gave the press almost unfettered access.
We'll go around the table and you can hear it. And these are cabinet meetings where they're very open and transparent. And I can guarantee you Biden didn't do this.
No, he did not. Now, on his good days, Biden would basically read an opening statement. Then his staff would shoo reporters out of the room. Now, wait for the bonus at the end of this one.
While most of the cabinet will have a role in helping shape and press the jobs plan, today I'm announcing that I'm asking 5 cabinet members to take special responsibility. Now we've got a lot of business to do and get done. I thank the press for being here, but talk to you all later. Thank you.
I mean, everything about that was bad. No questions from reporters. Then, of course, the social distancing with the masks. COVID performance theater. Never forget that. Now, in fact, Biden's staff had such little confidence in his cognitive ability that they didn't schedule regular cabinet meetings, or they just scripted them all when they did occur. Now, back in July of last year, a source told CNN that the entire display is kind of an act. They would come and say, hey, the president is going to call on you about 25 minutes in and ask this question. What are the bullet points you'll respond with? He was so decrepit that Joe even turned over his final cabinet meeting to his wife. Weak. But with Trump, it's strength all the way. Now, while some prior Republican presidents might be cowed by some less than fantastic poll numbers, not Trump. He goes on the offensive and stays on the offensive on the issues that matter. After Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy spoke today about the outdated air traffic control technology we have, Trump swooped in and added some key details.
Buttigieg did a horrible job. They wasted billions and billions of dollars hooking up wire equipment to non-wire equipment to satellite equipment, and a third-grade student would know it doesn't work. You can't work. And they wasted tens of billions of dollars. But we want to put a brand new air traffic control system in.
I mean, what president gets into the details like that? Now, for more than 2 hours, Trump, Vance, every cabinet official, and even his chief of staff gave important updates to the American people. No hiding, all on camera. Attorney General Pam Bondi spoke about shutting down the cartels.
Your DOJ agencies have seized more than 22 million fentanyl pills, 3,400 kilos of fentanyl, which saved, are you ready for this, media? 258 million lives.
Oh, I love when she turns to the cameras. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent on our work on artificial intelligence.
America, under your leadership, is on the verge of becoming an AI superpower. We had high tech and finance on one side, natural resources led by energy, which the previous administration tried to kill, on the other, and you're filling in between with precision manufacturing that we're going to be bringing back through good trade policies, good tax policies.
An AI superpower. I love that. And speaking of trade deals,
they said you wouldn't be able to do global tariffs. We did it. They said everyone would retaliate. No one retaliated outside of China. They said no one would come to negotiate. We're talking to dozens of countries. They said no one would have offers. We have dozens of written offers.
They all want to negotiate. They want to make a deal.
and after absurdly high gas prices under Biden, we got some very good news on the energy front.
Oil, gasoline, and diesel prices are the lowest they've been in years. How does that happen in 100 days? That's a messaging. Your message that we're pro-energy. We're not against energy, we're for it. That sends a message to the marketplace, already led to tremendous savings for American consumers across the country.
No backing down. The commitment to bulldoze the failed establishment with real solutions, it's refreshing. Frankly, it's breathtaking. J.D. Vance said it best.
You sit in the Oval Office and you see these portraits of presidents past, and let's be honest, most of them have been placeholders. They've been people who have allowed their staff to sign executive orders with an auto pen instead of men of action. And the reason the media attacks this administration as chaotic is because the president is solving the problems the American people set about to solve.
Now, despite the barrage of criticism from every liberal sphere, it's very predictable, the Trump team, and I noticed it today, maybe you did as well, seems so much more organized and unified than the first time around. They're really on their front foot. They're working as efficiently, as quickly as possible to tackle the problems that D.C.'s big spending uniparty created. Plus, Trump's having a lot more fun at every turn.
You've done a great job, Susan. I think everybody agrees. Yeah. If you have anybody that disagrees, please. In front of the media. Please raise your hand if you have the courage to do so.
Happy Trump is best Trump. I think I'll say that every night. I love it. I mean, guys, there's no need to sour on America. Do not listen to the naysayers. For the first time in decades, we can all see a path forward to a new golden age. That's the angle.
Fox News alert, the United States has just signed a mineral deal with Ukraine, granting us privileged access to develop Ukraine's natural resources, including aluminum, graphite, oil, and natural gas. And Hunter's nowhere near it. This is a recognition of the overwhelming financial and military support provided by you, the U.S. taxpayer. Secures a strong partnership between our countries that'll help keep Russia from moving deeper into Ukrainian territory and allow America access to key ingredients we need to reindustrialize. We told you after the Zelensky meeting blow up, they'd patch things up. Sometimes you have to break up to make up. Remember when Elon asked every bureaucrat to send him a list of things they did last week? Well, Trump held a cabinet meeting and asked, what'd you do in the first 100 days?
Your DOJ agencies have seized more than 22 million fentanyl pills.
The border is 99.99% safe, under control.
What we have seen since your election and the inauguration has been nothing short of a recruiting renaissance. We're reinforcing standards. We're going to be fit, not fat.
The CIA provided the intelligence that led to the apprehension of the Abbey bomber.
Over the past 100 days, we are already making America healthy again.
Energy costs have plummeted. Mortgage rates are down. Food costs are moving lower.
I'm not sure if anyone's heard, but the price of eggs is down.
It's nice to see the president hosting cabinet meetings instead of the first lady. Morale is high and drama's low, except for when RFK doged Marco's Doritos.
Because of Secretary Kennedy, I'm afraid to eat anything. So,
At least in front of him. At least in front of him.
They said Tootsie Rolls are okay in moderation.
Tootsie, Rubio was on a roll.
This president inherited 30 years of foreign policy that was built around what was good for the world. In essence, the decisions we made as a government in trade and foreign policy was basically, is it good for the world? Is it good for the global community? And under President Trump, we're making a foreign policy now that's, was it good for America?
RFK's been busy too, finding the kids Biden lost.
We have ended HHS as the role as the vector, the principal vector in this country for child trafficking. And during the Biden administration, HHS became a collaborator in child trafficking and for sex and for slavery. And we have ended that, and we're very aggressively going out and trying to find these children, 300,000 children that were lost by the Biden administration.
You'd think Biden could have sniffed these kids out himself, but he never tried. And you heard that right. The Biden administration was a vector for child sex trafficking. Someone needs to go to prison. Trump's happy with his team. He gave them all Gulf of America hats as little party favors. Elon took 2.
Elon, I love the double hat, by the way. He's the only one that can do that. Get away with it.
Well, Mr. President, they say I wear a lot of hats. It's true. Even my hat has a hat.
We have an exclusive interview with Elon Musk airing tomorrow night. And yes, he's bringing big balls. And it might be his exit interview.
The vast majority of people in this country really respect and appreciate you. And this whole room can say that very strongly. You've really been a tremendous help. You opened up a lot of eyes as to what can be done. And we just want to thank you very much. And, you know, you're invited to stay as long as you want. And at some point, I guess he wants to get back home to his car.
Doge saved us $160 billion and counting. And there's still entire departments being slimmed down.
I don't think I have ever worked so hard to try to fire myself. We're certainly making great strides in that. We've reduced the folks over at the Department of Education by about 50% now.
The first 100 days have been so historic, the New York Times put out a front page to match. Look at that. There have never been 100 days like this. And they're right about that. And the media is going to seduce you with polls to say Trump's unpopular. But these are the same polls that told you Kamala would win Iowa. The country has no regrets. If the election was held again, the media's same silly polls say Trump would still beat her. The country elected a man to knock over the table, and that's the phase we're in now. And soon we'll reset the table. Salad, dinner, dessert, fork.
We're turning it around. It's a big ship to turn around, and we're going to have the greatest country financially in the history of the world, I believe. I think we're going to do things that, and we had to do it. We reset the table.
The pundits are panicking, but what do the people think?
I think he's amazing. I believe he's a man of his word. Mm-hmm. And I really like that because I had given up on politics.
I've been very pleasantly surprised with what he's doing with the country. I think he's got a really good cabinet.
We're going in the right direction. If these jobs are not here, what happens when everything that we have is outsourced? And that is exactly what has been going on for decades. He's looking to bring it back. If President Trump is watching this, I love you dearly.
Signature American companies like Ford love what they're seeing.
Ford is really different. We make 80% in the U.S., more than any other manufacturer. We think this is really great for the country. We really support the president's initiative. This is the right thing to do. We really appreciate the dialogue we've had with the president, but we have a lot more work to do with him and the team.
Today, CEOs of the biggest companies in the world packed into the White House to celebrate the manufacturing boom. Money is pouring in.
The companies represented in this room have collectively announced more than $2 trillion in new investments, and we have a total of close to $8 trillion all told.
Today, first quarter GDP came out flat, but even the New York Times called it a statistical fluke. The market shrugged it off. Regular folks don't live and die by GDP. And Trump's confident the golden age will shine. He's so confident, he sat down with a guy who hates him, Terry Moran. Who's Terry Moran? Exactly. He's a third stringer at ABC. Stephanopoulos was not available because he slandered 47 and cost his bosses $15 million in damages. And David Muir moderated the last debate so poorly, he was out. So Moran was the man. Not really.
They're giving you the big break of a lifetime. You know, you're doing the interview. I picked you because, frankly, I never heard of you, but that's okay. But I picked you, Terry, but you're not being very nice.
Terry had a lot to prove, but it didn't work out for him. He played the same old games ABC always plays. They want to scalp Pete's.
We had a good talk. He's a talented guy. He's young, he's smart, highly educated, and I think he's going to be a very good defense, hopefully a great defense secretary, but he'll be a very good defense secretary.
You have 100% confidence in
I don't
Pete
have 100% confidence in anything. Okay, anything. Do I have 100%? It's a stupid question. Look,
it's a pretty important position.
No. You don't have 100%. Only a liar would say I have 100% confidence. I don't have 100% confidence that we're going to finish this interview.
These gotcha questions don't really work on Trump. He's been in the gauntlet for a decade, and confrontation actually ups his game. Terry didn't do his homework, and it showed.
A legal note fraud is a crime. There have been no referrals to the Justice Department on any of
Well,
these.
you don't know that, do you? How do you know that?
Have there been referrals to the, are there criminal referrals?
How would you know that there were no referrals? I think there were referrals.
They generally, all right, there's been no investigation from the Justice Department.
How do you know that?
I'm asking you, sir.
No, you're not asking me. You made a statement. You're not
now
asking
I'm asking
me.
you.
That was a statement that you made. There have
I'm
been.
asking you.
Have there been? Yes, there have.
I haven't seen an anchor look so clueless since Leslie Stahl said the laptop wasn't real. If ABC was smart, they'd have Stephen A. do the interview.
Do you think Vladimir Putin wants peace?
I think he does, yes. I think he does. I think because
even with the raining missiles
I think he really, his dream was to take over the whole country. I think because of me, he's not going to do that.
Do you trust him? Do you trust him?
I don't trust you. I don't trust a lot of people. I don't trust you. Look at you. You come in all shooting for bear. You're so happy to do the interview.
I am
and
happy.
Then you start hitting me with fake questions.
Putin carved up Ukraine on Biden's watch. Moscow went in hard after they saw Joe blow the Afghan withdrawal. Trump just got a mineral deal and has the Russians negotiating for peace. And ABC's acting like the president's getting played. Every question came from a place of hate.
I'm going to ask you, if I may, do you think the reputation of the United States has gone down under your presidency?
No, I think it's gone way up, and I think we're a respected country again. We were laughed at all over the world. We had a president that couldn't walk up a flight of stairs, couldn't walk down a flight of stairs, couldn't walk across the stage without falling. We had a president that was grossly incompetent. You knew it, I knew it, and everybody knew it, but you guys didn't want to write it because you're fake news.
All right. Thank you.
And by the way, ABC is one of the worst, I have to be honest with you.
Thank you for the opinion.
Trump's base loves to see him smoke the press. And conflict energizes the president. Biden hid from interviews, including friendlies. Trump invites them into the Oval, pounds them. We get to see democracy in action, the battle of ideas. We don't wonder who the president really is or where he is. He's hard at work. And he's in your face.
But first, we begin with that cabinet meeting in the West Wing. Look, unlike the last administration, Trump officials, they actually meet and report back to you, the American people, all of you, with transparency that is unprecedented. What a change a couple of months can make. Take a look.
I view this 100 days as setting the table for peace deals, trade deals, tax deals. So the next 100 days will be harvesting. You've created negotiating leverage and leadership that are going to yield remarkable results. Energy costs have plummeted, mortgage rates are down, food costs are moving lower, and American families are finding their financial footing again.
We've been working very closely with your great Attorney General's team at the DEA to get these known cartels into our systems, to be able to stop them at the border, and turning over names to Department of Homeland Security and the FBI to be able to find those who are already here in our country.
Over the past 100 days, we are already making America healthy again. We announced last week the ban on the 9 petroleum-based synthetic dyes, food dyes. Within 2 years, within 2 months, we're going to ban the worst 2 of them.
This president inherited 30 years of foreign policy that was built around what was good for the world. In essence, the decisions we made as a government in trade and foreign policy was basically, is it good for the world? Is it good for the global community? And under President Trump, we're making a foreign policy now that's, was it good for America?
Is it good for you? Trump 101, transparency, accountability, nonstop action, multiple fronts. As always, the state-run legacy media mob, they will lie, they will mislead, they will create false narratives. But frankly, it no longer matters. Very few people are watching and listening to them. Trump, his White House officials, they speak directly to you every single day. All day. And in the process, the president continues to stomp on the credibility of America's self-proclaimed, quote, journalists. Take a look at last night's explosive interview on ABC. Take a look.
They're giving you the big break of a lifetime. You know, you're doing the interview. I picked you because, frankly, I never heard of you, but that's okay. But I picked you, Terry, but you're not being very nice.
You think Vladimir Putin wants peace?
I think he does, yes. I think he does.
Do you trust him? Do you trust him?
I don't trust you. I don't trust a lot of people. I don't trust you. Look at you. You come in all shooting for bear. You're so happy to do the interview.
I am
And
happy.
then you start hitting me with fake questions. Fraudulent things were taking place. And we ended that, and those people are going to be suffering because of it.
A legal note, fraud is a crime. There have been no referrals to the Justice Department on any.
Well, you don't know that, do you? How do you know that?
Have there been
How do you
referrals
know
to the?
that?
Are there
Why,
criminal
how
referrals?
would you know that there were no referrals? I think there were referrals.
They generally are. There's been no investigation from the
How do
Justice
you know
Department.
that?
I'm asking you, sir.
No, you're not asking me. You made a statement. You're not
Now I'm
asking
asking
me.
you.
That was a statement that you made.
Wow. Now, that is a beatdown of all beatdowns. According to multiple polls, the legacy media mob, their credibility at an all-time low after getting exposed. Why? Over and over and over again by President Trump. And with all they threw at him, he's still president. Look at your screen. To commemorate Donald Trump's first 100 days, the White House brilliantly published a massive list of all the hoaxes pushed by the Democrats and the legacy media mob from just the first 3 months of Trump's second term. Let's see, false claims about airplane crashes going up under Trump, a fake story about ICE agents in an elementary school, a phony denial surrounding Biden's very real transgender mouse program, a bogus story from the AP about Tulsi Gabbard and Vladimir Putin, and so much more. We'll keep scrolling. And despite all the misinformation, all the hysteria, all the breathless reporting that is fake and phony and conspiratorial, there's still one group of people that are polling worse tonight. Top Democrats, they're even less trusted than the legacy media mob. Chucky Schumer is polling at a low 17%. Overall, congressional Democrats have a record low 23% approval rating from young Americans. And a new Washington Post poll shows Democrats polling well below President Trump. And many polls have shown the Democrats in general in the 20 percentile range. After years of losing battles to Donald Trump, the Democratic Party, well, they've kind of lost it all. They've become a clown show in the eyes of the American people. They're not trusted at all. They are broken. They are soulless, and for good reason. And here's how President Trump described his unhinged Democratic rivals last night in Michigan. Take a look.
Some guy that I'd never heard of. John James, is he a congressman, this guy? He said, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to start the impeachment of Donald Trump. What the hell did I do? Here we go again. They want to impeach me. This lunatic, he was up. Actually, I had the television way down, and I said to our great First Lady, listen, did I just hear I was being impeached again? We're getting good at this, though. No, they've gone totally crazy. These people, and you know what? They've totally lost their confidence, too. They can't even tell a lunatic like this dumb guy that said it. And then you have the other one that's always with the cane. He's always impeaching. And he raises his cane.
Enjoy every moment. There's nobody else like this guy. Tonight, there is some good news on the left. At least one elected Democrat seems to be coming to her senses. You know, the old saying, if you can't beat him, join him. Well, apparently, Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer actually wants manufacturing back in her state of Michigan. Good for her. Last night, she dared to appear on stage with President Trump, and during a big announcement about new state-of-the-art fighter jets for a Michigan air base that she fought hard to save. Credit to her. Needless to say, Whitmer's followers, the Democrats, they are livid. But this is the difference between Trump and the Republican Party. Old rivals are welcomed into the fold with open arms versus the radical far-left Democratic Party that wants to outlaw, vilify all political differences. And that's why Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, there's only two parties in America, patriots and traitors. Oh, okay.
It's nice to see New Yorkers using their hands for something besides stabbing people. Happy Wednesday, everyone. So the police were called to a Chicago airport after a Southwest Airlines passenger got naked and pooped on her seat.
Sorry.
In her defense, she did board in group number 2. Failed VP candidate Tim Walz says Kamala Harris picked him because he can talk to white guys. True, here's one of the white guys. According to the Daily Caller, the 4 Democrats who went to an El Salvador prison to visit alleged gang member Kilmar Abrega Garcia stayed in a luxury hotel. In their defense, they got a discount using the promo code MS13. In their first 100 days, Trump faced 92% negative coverage, while Biden received nearly 60% positive press coverage. The press's excuse? They were told not to speak ill of the dead. Milwaukee Judge Hannah Dugan, who was accused of shielding an illegal immigrant from ICE agents, has been temporarily relieved of her official duties. However, she will now go back to her previous job of terrorizing the Goonies. Close. Scientists have found a giant hidden gas cloud only 300 light years away from Earth. Hey, don't look at me, said one man. 80 years ago today, Adolf Hitler killed himself. At least that's what my Uncle Steve keeps telling me. I stay at his place in Argentina. Robert De Niro's 29-year-old child, Aaron, has come out as transgender. When the press asked her for comment, she said, "You talking to they, them?" Thank you. Thank you. And finally, George Clooney's wife, Amal, could be denied entry to America for accusing Benjamin Netanyahu of war crimes, prompting Bill Clinton to urge Hillary to accuse Benjamin Netanyahu of war crimes. All right. So as we mark the Trump administration's first 100 days, let's not forget the Dems. Yes, it's time for
the Dems' first 100 days.
Not like this! Not like this! I don't know what that means, but okay. So while Trump's been battling to secure the border, cut government waste, and restore law and order, the Dems have been doing what exactly? Let's take a fond look back at their great achievements so far. Of course, we begin with a joint session of Congress. And a reminder, this was not an audition to play the next Chewbacca.
Mr. Green, take your seat. Take your seat, sir. Take your seat. Remove this gentleman from the chamber.
Okay, homeless Moses. Then we got the kind of singing that would have made Van Gogh cut off his other ear.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Science lights the way.
Yes, it does. I never thought I'd say this, but I miss Yoko Ono.
Yes.
Then we got a filibuster, which is a fancy word of saying, I won't shut up.
When is it going to be enough? I will not stand for another American to lose their health care for a billionaire. I don't want a Disneyfication of our history. I don't want to whitewash history. I don't want to homogenize history. Today into tomorrow, I'm going to stand as long as I can.
The people. We're gonna stand up. We're gonna stand up.
You know, they'd have arrested him for loitering if they didn't think he'd like it. I wonder if such grandstanding is a hit with the ladies. I kid, that guy's about as straight as Steve Buscemi's teeth. Up next, JB, which stands for Junior Blimp.
Never before in my life have I called for mass protests, for mobilization, for disruption. But I am now. These Republicans cannot know a moment of peace.
The only mass disruption we have to worry about from him is when he busts through a wall like the Kool-Aid Man. He wants Republicans to never know peace? Yeah, just like the plumber he keeps on retainer. Then there's Walt, still lingering like a fart in a car seat.
On my phone, I don't know, some of you know this on the iPhone, they've got that little stock app. I added Tesla to it to give me a little boost during the day. 225 and dropping. So
that was their token masculine male. I've seen balls of yarn with more testosterone. But what did his shock troops do? Vandalize Teslas, burn down dealerships. You think Walt will visit them in jail? Only if it's conjugal. Or conjugal.
Conjugal. No, I like that
conjugal. That's if you're Jewish. Conjugal if you're Jewish, conjugal if you're not. Then there was spring break. Senator Van Hollen took off for El Salvador on our time and our dime to rub elbows with a wife-beating MS-13 gang member, or as the Dems call him, a Maryland dad. Which is like saying Ted Bundy was a dating expert from Vermont. Not to be outdone, Bernie and AOC took to a private jet around the country to fight oligarchy. What's next? A polo match in support of struggling glue factories? All of this culminated yesterday with this call for impeachment.
Donald Trump has already done real damage to our democracy, but defying a unanimous 9-0 Supreme Court ruling, that has to be the final straw. It's time we impeach Donald J. Trump.
Is that even real? I mean the hair. The hair, not the impeachment. I haven't seen hair that thick since Rashida Tlaib wore a tank top. But, man, are the Dems getting impatient. Trump's first impeachment came 173 days into his first term. Here it's 99 days. Makes you think, what are they going to do for his third term? Of course, there's as much a chance that Trump will be impeached as there is a Joy Behar ever seeing her feet. Making it the perfect metaphor for the Dems' first 100 days. Fake, pointless, all for show. Of course, that's what the Dems did. But what about what they didn't do? Well, they didn't support the Lake and Riley Act, or making government more efficient, or protecting women's sports. No wonder their popularity ratings are as high as Stevie Wonder's bowling score. But the Dems still have the media. The Trump White House has faced 92% negative coverage from ABC, NBC, CBS. However, in their defense, all three believe they can get that up to 100% in no time. But the Dems' theatrics are proof of the party's inherent failures. Their ideology is based on internal conflict. And a competition between the aggrieved never generates a leader, only miserable followers at each other's throats. So it's been a glorious first 100 days for the Dems. Here's to another 100 if they make it that far. She uses those glasses to expose stupid jackasses. Host of Kennedy Saves the World podcast, Kennedy. He's proof that Jews don't run show business. Comedian Rich Voss. She once talked a guy into jumping off a cliff. Co-host of Outnumbered, Emily Capano. And for him, every van is a minivan. New York Times bestselling author, comedian, every time. Kennedy, when you go through that entire mosaic of the last 100 days, it's kind of amazing, like what the Dems have done in their own frustration and desperation. What say you?
Yeah, a 25-hour, it wasn't even a filibuster.
Yeah.
It was just a guy who wouldn't shut up for a day and an hour, who then was so exhausting he had to go have a sit-in outside of his own office. And then J.B. Pritzker, who was calling for essentially a stampede, which is very dangerous if he's running to anything.
True.
I'd rather give the elephants in the zoo a manicure. And he's also, he says that the country right now, it's a 5-alarm fire. Yeah. But I think what he really means is 5-alarm chili, because he just wants to eat anything he possibly can. So you're looking at a group of people who are hysterical, devoid of ideas, and just out to outperform each other with these meaningless stunts, which is exactly what voters voted against. If they wanted meaningless blather, we'd have President Kamala right now.
That is so true. Rich, how was your last 100 days?
Well, it's been great. Here's the thing. I loved him with Key and Peele.
He does look like, no, he does.
I know. Yeah. And the guy next to him looks like he's drinking meatloaf milkshakes. Here's, see, for me, 100, okay, I really don't care about the price of gas, stocks, eggs. I get eggs free. My friend has 30 chickens.
Oh, good for you.
If you want eggs, I can make a call right now.
Good for you. That's fantastic.
About to get 3.1 million calls, bro.
Okay. I can get eggs. So none of that matters to me. You know what matters to me is what's going on in Israel, what's going on these campuses, and take off your masks. That's what I care about. That's my main goal. Now, also, everything isn't positive with the president. There's so many things I like that Trump's doing, but the fact that he's selling sneakers and watches, I don't want my president to have a side hustle, okay? I don't want to see my president in front of check cashing, selling do-rags and incense, all right? Okay?
Which is ironic, because that's how you're dressed.
Let me finish. My first 100 days have been great. They've been good. Yeah. I see a lot of change for the things that I care about. So it's good. Yeah. And I keep getting called back here, so what the hell? What else?
Well, it's usually when somebody calls in sick.
It doesn't matter. You get to the V's and I'm here.
Yes. I'm kidding. We always have you scheduled on well in advance, a few hours. Emily. How would you grade the Dems' first 100 days under Trump? Have they done enough to convince voters that they deserve another chance?
No, F minus, unless they're being graded on utter failure and missing the point, then it's an A+. I loved what you mentioned about they're missing the entire point, and that they have been missing purpose and policy this entire time. So the playbook that we're watching, we're all sitting here in the front row just watching them exhaust this tired playbook. We're day 99, it's impeachment. And then what happens next? Hakeem Jeffries says that the president is not cognitively fit to serve. Like, we're on that page now?
Yeah.
And you helped gloss over the last 4 years, and you are saying that now? I love today in the cabinet meeting when the Attorney General talked about what hasn't happened. And I think that's just as important as what has in the last 100 days that this president has accomplished. When she talked about the amount of fentanyl that has been seized, the dearth of the border crossings, relating to millions of Americans' lives that were saved. And the fact that the media refuses to cover it, the Dems refuse to thank this president for it.
They made fun of her over that line. They thought, oh, how could she prove that? Well, you know what? You didn't bother checking Joe Biden's pulse.
And it does. I think that level of like attempting to find the data.
Yeah.
The data was in the last 4 years. The data is Laken Riley. The data is Jocelyn Nungari. That won't happen under this president. The inflation, the fact that we all lost 20 pounds just the day after the election because President Trump is the one in the White House. That is the good part. The Dems failing to see that or even work on 1.1 message, 1 leader whatsoever. It's failure. A+ in failure.
Tyrus.
What it is.
What it is, what it shall be.
Yes, well said, Gutfeld. Well said.
Thank you.
The left.
Yes.
There on that photo right there is the Mount Rushmore for birth control. Unfortunately, President Trump tried to do a stimulus package where he had offered 5,000 to make babies. With that, we need to raise it up to 10. They have no focus because they never really did. It's the activists, and these are the activists. They make up that's not real. They don't even, when they do have an opportunity, they're so within themselves that they don't even know what to do with it. For example, if you are going to talk for 24 hours, why in the blue would you talk fast?
Yeah.
Did anyone else? Bro, you got 24 hours. Slow that down.
Yeah.
I'd be breaking out the books. Oh, sit down, and we're going to read the story of Old Yeller. Chapter 1. You know what I'm saying? Like, at least make it interesting. They have no charisma. They have nothing that attracts people to them, i.e. the photo. And that's their problem. They can't bring anybody in, but then again, they don't really want anybody in. They want their small bubble, and the way they've done things for the last 4 years, they've been able to fleece this country at will, make up fake that people will buy, and they had the propaganda media to support them. So none of that has really changed. So they're not ever going to decide one morning to wake up and say, hey, I'm going to be about facts and accountability. Hell, all marriages would be better in that case. But they don't. They're going to stick with feelings and emotions and what they little think tank groups, because they're only working for the audiences of their ones. As long as the CEOs of these networks allow these propagandist journalists to spew that stuff, there's no reason for them to change. Politicians will change if there's a reason to. But in their mind, we keep doing this, eventually something's going to stick on the president. And the president has been, this is the reason why he's lost so much weight, is because he's boxing, because he's out there bobbing and moving, and every time they try to throw something at him, he's like, You know, like, you never stopped Ukraine. By the way, bitch, we got the mineral rights now. You know what I'm saying? He continues. I mean, that's the president. Like, he just continues to do that.
All right. Before we go, come see me on tour with special guest Tom Shalhoub. We'll be in Highland Heights, Kentucky, Jacksonville, Florida, Grand Rapids, not Good Rapids, Grand Rapids, Michigan, and Rockford, Illinois. Go to ggutfeld.com for tickets. Coming up, a TV hack defends the media.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.